We are starting another workshop on sketchpad and geometric patterns. And in this workshop, we'll just introduce a pattern like the one that is here. And we'll talk about geometry of this pattern. And then we'll use very simple tools, but our main focus will be on geometry of regular dodecagon. And a pattern from here will be built on the regular dodecagon, and this is the pattern from Morocco. You can find it in a few places. Information about this Dar el Bacha palace, so you will be able to get quite a lot of information about history of this place and special attractions. And even if you are like going to the coffee, you will find there a cafeteria with very good coffee and superb cakes. Now let's go to the pattern, because this pattern is our main purpose. We will do today this pattern a single line version, no interlace, no fat lines. But what I have here colors that were created for this pattern. The one here is just for the belts. The yellow one is for the things like this. This color is, I think this is the best one for covering. And of course you have black to fill everything. So colors are prepared. I don't have the blue one. I could make it, but I don't think that the blue can be, well, you can always make it the blue color just like this. Even darker. So you have the blue color for this pattern, fine. Now let's start analyzing the pattern. In this drawing, you have two objects. One, this is equilateral triangle, and another object, this is square. And this square is just a home for this shape, and the triangle is a home for a part of the star, but the star is going outside. How it is possible? You see, the major idea for this pattern is that the lines are just going this way. Display line style medium. You see, line for this edge and this small edge, they are just following each other. And we have to remember about this because otherwise we may be in a real trouble. Well, not real trouble, but at least we may not get what exactly we want. So that's what you had here. And now let's start doing something. I did something that looks like this. I will explain how I did this. That is simple. And if you start adding some extra elements, display color red, and then if you add here display color red and the line medium, then if I make a reflection here, transform reflect, no, not this way. Okay, how to get, okay, that will be the proper solution. Transform reflect, okay, and then, so this is what you are getting here, looks like this, okay, and here you have, so what is the shape that we got here? This is dodecagon, or part of the dodecagon. You have one part, two parts, and three parts. The third part is just here. So we have a dodecagon, and the dodecagon was done in such a way that on every other edge of this dodecagon we have a square and the rest. So this is just a basic geometry for a dodecagon. If you look around here, you're getting precisely another dodecagon that is just going around this corner. So let's start working on dodecagon. You know, when you have a dodecagon, dodecagon is built out of triangles. And what is the angle for this vertex? I can measure it. Okay, it is 30 degrees. So the angle for here is measure, the angle is 75. And of course, if you just make a reflection like this, okay, so our dodecagon is built out of triangles like this one. So we can make it easily by just drawing a thing that we have here. So let me to cut it out. I don't need the labels, and I don't need this label here. I can hide everything here. So hide these lines. Yes. And I even don't need this segment, but at least make it thin. And so what I am doing, you remember the 75 angle. Okay. So transform, rotate this angle. Okay, but I just mean cancel, rotate. Okay, sketch what is trying to force me to rotate. Now, what you do, transform, reflect, then transform, reflect, and then transform, reflect. Okay, I forgot to, yeah, okay, just this point, transform, reflect. Okay, I don't need this point. And now what I got the thing like this, and this is half of the dodecagon. Now what I can do, I just can select everything. I don't select these two lines, these two vertices, and this is transform, reflect, yes. Okay, let's be sure that this point is the independent point and this one is the independent point. We will not need these segments. So what I do, display height. Sometimes you may need them, sometimes not. So this depends on everything what you are doing. Now make a new tool and just dodecagon tool. Of course, this is regular dodecagon, but we are quite fine with this, what we are getting. Okay, so you see, we know how to make a regular dodecagon. In the future, we'll spend some time just drawing things like octagon, decagon, and so on, but now let's try to make this pattern with this what we have. So we start with the segment, construct perpendicular lines. Just let me to go back. What I am trying to do, I am trying to make this rectangle. Okay, so this is my drawing. This is the first line that I have here, and then double click on this point, transform, rotate. Okay, how much is asking? Okay, I just don't. Okay, and now transform, rotate. And now this is 90 degrees by 3. That is fine. Transform, rotate like this. So we divided this angle into 3 equal parts. Construct perpendicular line. Okay, so I got precisely this rectangle, and then just like this, and then what I have, line style medium, that is absolutely everything what we need. And now I don't need, well, I may need this one. So display hide lines. And now what I will do, I have here a line in this corner. Yes, I can rotate this line or even like this. You can make a line style thin, and then what you can do, you can just say this way, transform, rotate, not 30, but 15. Okay, and then double click, transform, reflect, and exactly the same for this corner, transform, rotate, again 15, and again transform, reflect. So display line style solid, and this way we got these 2 points for 2 regular dodecagons. But we have a regular dodecagon already, so we can put it here and we can put it here. Okay, so this is what I got. Now I don't need this drawing, so I can move it outside. And now it is better to change the page, document options, add duplicate page 5. Okay, and now definitely I can remove all this thing. And now I can go to here and then make it bigger, because it is much easier to work on a bigger design. So this is my 2 regular dodecagons. There is also a triangle between them. We have to remember about it. And now if I skip these lines, edit action buttons, hide and show. So hide them. Okay, so we are perfectly fine. We also don't need these supplementary lines, hide them. And now you remember squares. I had squares, so what I can do, I can go to my tools. We created already a square. So this is the square, and that is the square, and that is the square. So this is what we got. And of course, here, if you just make it red, you're getting this pattern that we did, that I was showing you just a moment ago. Okay, so that where we are. We can just step aside and just make square and the triangle like this and work on the pattern. We don't need to work on the whole thing. So File, Document Options, Add, Complete Blank Page, and now let's make our square. The square is like this, and let's make the triangle. Okay, so this is what I was showing you in one of these previews. Okay, so I'm trying to make a, a pattern inside of triangle and square. Now, I need some lines, but I will just make them color red, display line style medium, so you are just sure that we are working on the same topic, not on something different. Okay, and now from this point to this line, I just construct perpendicular line, and this should be thin line, this should be black line, just to have a symmetry line. The same line we can draw here. Okay, and now here starts the whole story. Double click on this point. Now in dodecagon we already had the angle 15 degrees. So let's rotate this point, this line about this point 15 degrees. Rotate. Now it is only 15 and we have to do with the minus, which is quite fine. Okay. We may have also the same line on the other side. Transform, reflect. That is fine. Now what I do, I just take these 3 points and I construct an angle bisector. If I do this, double click angle bisector, this is usually a mirror for something. So I just double click, it means I make it mirror, and then it's transform, reflect. Perfectly fine. I got this point here. Okay, and now what I do, I just draw this line, transform, reflect. Okay, so I can start drawing what I wanted to have. Display line style, medium, and then it's like this, and then it's like this. Okay, so we are absolutely fine. But look, this is again what I was just showing you. From this point, draw 2 lines like this. This line is parallel to this edge and this line is parallel to this edge. So take this edge, construct parallel line, okay, and then double click, just need this point, transform, reflect, okay, and now we can draw this. Okay, so we got a large part of our pattern, you see, and now what we'll do, we will just select all these lines, edit, action button, hide and show, and hide these lines. Now I don't need these polygons, I don't need this segment, edit, action button, hide and show, hide these objects. So this is how it looks, the pattern to fill the dodecagon. Now you can try to make a decoration for it just to get it properly done. So what you can do, transform, rotate, let's say 30 degrees. This is decoration only. And then transform, rotate with the minus. This is like this. So I have this point. And now where are my colors? These are my colors. So what I will do, I will just, okay, I need a midpoint here. Construct a midpoint. I will tell you just in a moment. And now what I have here, one triangle like this. And this triangle should be, let's say, dark yellow. Okay. And then another thing like this. So that is this. Now I don't like having these lines, so hide them. And now what I can do, I can just fill the rest of this pattern by what? Or by color like this. Okay. So that's the color that I wanted to have. And that is another color like this. Okay. And now you can also make some extra decoration inside of this triangle. So construct, let's say, perpendicular line. Now construct perpendicular line. So we are getting this point. And now let's make a color like this. But I don't need the same color, so I can use, let's say, something different. The color. Okay. No, I think this is still too dark. I prefer something. Oh well, most of my colors. Okay, let's make it this color. The other one. It is not really completely black color, but yes, okay. So what I got, it looks like this. Now I can hide all these extra things. Yes. Edit action button, hide and show, hide these objects. That is okay. And now I don't need this segment, this point, display, hide objects. I leave these points because sometimes you may need them. Okay, now select everything, display, align style, thin. Okay, so yeah, okay. And now this is what I've got. let's say part 1. Okay, so I got a thing that looks like this. Now let me to go to this drawing. I have to remove these squares, or I just document options, add duplicate 6. Okay, and now I can remove them perfectly fine. Okay, and then I don't need hide objects. Okay, now take the tool that we made just recently. Yes, okay, and then okay. So this is what we got. Okay, now what else we have to do? We have to just produce the part of the pattern that is missing here. Okay, so if you just notice what we had here a triangle like this. Okay, so this was the triangle that we have. Okay, so the story is getting simple. We have to make a pattern for the triangle. How it will look? If you take this segment, if you just transform reflect, you will get this. And then transform, reflect. So this is what I am getting. Now I don't need these extra lines, hide these objects. And now I don't, okay, let's keep it for a moment. So this is the thin black line. Okay, that's fine. And then what we can do, we can just make a tool like this one. That's not a very difficult thing. So let's make what? Okay, a triangle. So let's just make, no, I don't want to have a big like this. Now move it out. Now the triangle. Okay, and what we did. You remember what we did? No, okay. And then we said take this point and transform, rotate 15 degrees. Yes, like this one. Okay. And for example, take this point, transform, rotate, but this time minus 15. So this is what we got. Okay. And then so this is for hide these elements. Now I don't need these lines. Hide these elements. Okay, so these were two starting points. Then we made a motif like this. We can fill it with color. It is no, okay, but I don't like. Yes, let's take my color palette. Okay, and then what kind of color I wish to get? I wish to get a color like this one and just go to here and choose something that will be like this. Okay, this is the color that I got. Okay, so that's my tool, and now let's make it. So this is part 2, and that is this. Okay, and now how we can fill our pattern. Okay, this was no Ctrl Z. Now, okay, now you have to be careful with this, what you're doing, because, okay, no, still no, okay, okay. That is what I wanted to have here, but the triangle is much bigger than this what I have here. I created really part of the pattern, so it is much better just to display hide objects, okay, and then display hide segments. And now if you wish, you can color it this way. And then, so what we can do, transform, reflect. Okay, that is perfectly fine. And then double click, transform, reflect. Yes, okay, that is okay. And then transform. No, not this way. Okay. Yeah, okay. This was this line. Yes, perfectly fine. So now these two segments transform, reflect. Okay. Now what is good, what is bad? The good thing is that we have this shape that is going outside, so we have to just, and also this one, I have to cut it down. Okay, and instead of a full, I have to make just a quarter. Okay, and then we will be absolutely fine. Now, let's change the page, document options, add, duplicate page 8. Okay, and now let's remove everything what we don't need. And now we can put some more colors here. So, okay, I don't have this point, so I have to just transform, reflect, and also transform, reflect, and then we can color this part this way and this part this way. And now what about the rest? You can fill them with colors if you want, but it is much easier. Oh well, it is much easier, but I don't want to. Now this thing can be, let's say, this color. Okay, and here this part can be like this. And then what I will do, double click, take these two polygons, transform, rotate 180 degrees, 80. Okay, so this is where we are. This part you can fill with anything else. For example, well, you have so many nice colors here. I prefer this one. Okay, and again, transform, rotate. Yes. Okay, so you see what we got now. File, document options, add, duplicate 9. And now let's try cleaning everything. So points, edit, select all points, display, hide points. Okay, now I don't need this. Okay, now what I do, I just display, hide these things, and now hide these segments. Okay, yes, I can remove this, and I think I have quite a lot of things outside of the screen, but I don't need to bother too much about this. Okay, so look what I got. I got a pattern that looks like this, and then file, document option, add, duplicate page 10, and now let's remove everything. Let's make this corner as a scaling corner. Okay, you see, display height segment. Now transform, reflect, display height segment. Now yes, and now what we are doing, transform, reflect. Okay, look how nicely we did. Okay, and now display height segments, transform, reflect. Okay, so let's make bigger space for it, and then I don't need all these segments. Double click on this one and hide it also. And now transform, reflect. Okay, so look what we got here and how our pattern looks. Let's make it smaller. This is what we did. And now lines, edit, select all segments, display line style, make it medium, and display, make it completely white. Okay, so this is what you may get. It looks like a pattern that we did. Okay, it looks like the pattern from this page. Okay, I will take this picture. I will move it to the page 11. Okay, I know that this is too big, but well, and that is what we did. If you compare it, this is the central part, it is here. Then you have fish around. So the fish around are like this, different color, but then we have these triangles. We have them here, but we added some decorations. We should not have lines for them. So in the future, please remember, remove these lines. Okay, so this should look like this. And then in these ovals, we have the rhombus, and practically only rhombus is the same color like in the original picture. Let's finish this thing. Another time, when we'll have time, we can make interlaced version of this pattern, but at the moment you can just try to produce this what we did here, okay, and do this pattern, display color black. Yes, and that is all for today. So stop recording and stop sharing. I thank you for listening and watching this video if you had time for it. If not, this is your loss. Goodbye and see you next time.